When talking about beaches in Portugal, most people think of the picturesque Algarve region, but less than an hour from Lisbon is the beautiful Arrábida Natural Park with incredible beaches and amazing dolphin watching. Join us for tips and tricks to make the most of your day trip. First, we started by picking up our rental car at the airport. It's a bit more expensive to rent a car from the airport, but you can pick up the car earlier, and with a day trip, we were trying to make the most of our time. We left Lisbon and drove across the iconic 25th of April bridge. It's about a 45-minute drive with no tolls to Sesimbra, where we started our dolphin watching tour. Since it was early March, we didn't have many choices for tours. There were a few more options from Setúbal that ran later in the year and looked great and were a bit cheaper. Setúbal is also easier to reach on public transportation from Lisbon if you don't want to rent a car. You can take the train or bus for around €5 and be in Setúbal in under an hour. Just because of the time of year and when our tour left, we did need to rent a car to be in Sesimbra by 10 a.m. for our tour. We returned at around 1 p.m. and the tour was amazing. We had 2 wonderful guides, and since it was off-season, there was only one other couple on the tour with us. We learned all about the different species of dolphins in the area and the history of Sesimbra. We found 2 pods of dolphins. The first one was mostly young males, so they swam along the boat for almost 45 minutes playing in the wake. On our way back to shore, we saw another group, but they were mostly females with their young, so they didn't stick around too long. We cruised by a secluded beach that can only be reached by boat or hiking, but unfortunately it was too cold for a swim. This was one of my favorite days in Portugal, and it was definitely worth the trip from Lisbon. After the tour, we ate lunch in Sesimbra and headed out to drive along the coast to our next stop, the Lapa de Santa Margarida. It was about 30 minutes away, and the walk down from the road doesn't take long and is less than half a mile. There's a beautiful view of the ocean and a cave with a small altar inside. It felt a little spooky being down in the cave by ourselves, but was an interesting stop on the way to our main reason for coming this way, Galapos Beach. One of the prettiest beaches in Arrábida and maybe even all of Portugal. It was pretty empty in March, but gets very busy in the summer. During the winter, we were able to park above the beach easily, but during the summer, you'll need to park at the parking lot for Praia de Creo and walk, or park at the Cecil factory and take the shuttle bus. One side of the beach is called Galapos and is more developed, and on the other side of the rocks is Galapinhos Beach, that's a little more secluded.
Da primeira vez que eu te vi, menina, meu coração pulou pra boca. Da primeira vez que eu te vi, menina, meu coração pulou pra boca.
On our way to the last stop of the day, we took pictures at an iconic overlook before driving to a tile factory, Leiveira Azulejos. They have incredible tiles all over the building. They said during the pandemic they didn't have as many orders, so they worked on covering the entire building and are working on nearby buildings still too. They give you a short tour of the workshop and explain how the azulejos or tiles are made, plus you can do some shopping. From here, we drove back to Lisbon to return the car and ended our day in Arrábida. There is so much to do in this area that we didn't have time for. I'd love to go back and explore more. It's definitely an underrated day trip to do from Lisbon, or even to spend a few days exploring everything that the park has to offer.
Da primeira vez que eu te vi, menina.